What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over some tips to hopefully help you play against the mythic lightsabers and force abilities and hopefully lose less to them in Fortnite Chapter 4. If you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below what you think of the lightsabers. Are you happy they're back in the game? Or, like most players, are you pretty unhappy with it? The first thing we're going to talk about is that you do not want to 50-50 people or push them without getting early tags. I've talked about this so much countless times in Fortnite Zero Build, but close range fights in Zero Build, if you just like kind of get on the person with mobility, it is oftentimes going to be a 50-50. There's times where you might have cover and they might not, and that's different, but you don't want to kind of like push somebody or all in push somebody without getting opening tags first. And this is always true, but it's even more so true with the lightsaber, because if you push up on somebody without much early damage, and then they pull out the lightsaber with the force ability. Even without the force ability, this would be a bad play just because of how much melee damage they can do very fast. But with the force ability as well, they can just quickly eliminate you, and there's not much you can do. But with these lightsabers and the force abilities, they don't have very much range. So you want to make sure you're starting the fight with good opening mid-range tags, and then you use your mobility to get on them, and you've basically won the fight before you even really start having it with them. And this is just a good habit to have in general, because it's always been true for like the entirety of Zero Build, I think. Another thing that has kind of always been true but matters more so when you're playing against these is that you want to get good close range weapons. Like the mythic pump has been very good this entire season, and I've recommended going for it the entire season. You can get by without it, and even now with the lightsabers in the game, you can get by without it, but having the best close range weapon possible gives you the best fighting chance versus these weapons, because they hit hard, they do a lot of damage, they can do a lot of damage quickly, and it doesn't take much skill for the person using it to actually eliminate you with it. Like, it's very easy to use. So having the mythic pump instead of like the purple one might be the difference maker in the fight, or like your SMG rarity might be the difference in the fight. Same thing is true even if you don't want to use the mythic pump. Check out hollow chest, try to get the exotic maven if you can. If you prefer the combat, try to get a high rarity combat. Either way, you just want to have high rarity weapons of the stuff you're using in close range. I've had so many fights versus these lightsabers, and like I'll have like a sliver of HP remaining. Like one more hit from them would have been what eliminated me, and had I had a slightly worse weapon than what I currently had, we may have ended up losing that fight. So I'd highly recommend going for these mythics or going for these high rarity weapons. It's been the case the entire season, but I think it matters even more so now. Another thing that you want to avoid is just fighting people out in the open. Pieces of cover, like, not only is it helpful in a gunfight, but I've had times where I'm fighting like a lightsaber user and they accidentally hit like a tree or a piece of furniture, and like they probably had line of sight on me and thought they were hitting me, but just these little pieces of cover, these little inconveniences for them can kind of skew the fight in your favor. So if you are fighting somebody using a lightsaber, try to put something between you and them, because their thing is a close range, or a melee weapon rather, and if they accidentally hit the tree, the rock, the furniture, a fence post, doesn't matter what it is, but like that being in between you and them can throw them off. And just in general, you want to be moving around as much as possible in these fights. Think about it from their POV. Like, if you were using the lightsaber or any melee weapon, wouldn't you just prefer that the opponent kind of stood there and took it? It's the same thing with these lightsabers. So, jump around, strafe around, back up while you're fighting them. Like, just backing up at a decent pace once they're in the lightsaber spam often just has them hitting air the entire time while you're kind of backing up and getting more damage on them. Your shotguns and your other weapons aren't going to hit as hard when you're backing up, but it completely throws their weapon off, so it's obviously recommended. When they're just blocking bullets, you want to just get shots on them and make, the force block ability has a cooldown essentially. So if you spray them out while they're doing this, keep in mind, you want to be backing up, maybe have something between you and them. But if you spray them out while they're doing this force block ability, they will eventually like break the block, and then you'll get damage in on them. And then the same is true for mid-range. There will be players that are overconfident in the block ability, and they'll just kind of stand there and blocking and let you shoot them. And if you have a red eye or like a DMR at mid-range and they're doing that, you could just keep shooting them. Eventually their block is going to subside, and then you'll get in several tags, and then that can be your like timing to like push with your katana or ODM gear and then finish them off with your shotgun. Mobility is super important all the time in Fortnite for just like resetting fights or getting around the map, but it's even more so true versus the lightsaber, because a lot of the players that are using this or like really relying on it typically aren't the best players in the lobby. So just resetting the fight with your katana, if you see them trying to get close to you with the lightsaber, can be the better play. Like, the fight is going to go longer as a result of that. But like I said, typically these people using the lightsabers aren't the best. So having the fight be delayed or having the fight go slightly longer really isn't that big of a deal or big of like a disadvantage for you as it is for them. Like, it's more of like, so many players, I feel like, in Fortnite play fights just to end it as fast as possible, which can be important because, you know, you're less likely to get third-partied. But I feel like if you're playing against this lightsaber, playing the long game and just playing to not really be exposed to them or not really pinned down by them is probably the better play, because once you're in just a super close range fight versus them, they have the advantage. You can definitely kill them before they kill you if your aim is really good, but you don't even want to give them that opportunity. Like, their weapon is really one-dimensional. So if you have the ability to katana away, reset the fight, make it a mid-range fight where their lightsaber really isn't that viable, I think it's definitely advantageous for you. The most inconvenient place to fight these lightsaber users is going to be on the island. I feel like everything I've kind of talked about goes out the window on the island. It's like kind of inconvenient or like less likely that you'll get those mid-range opening tags on island, because if you're sitting there capturing the point, or if you're sitting on the house and someone zip lines up or rifts up, then it's just kind of a 50-50 fight, and you often get like third-partied over and over again. So if you fight one person here and then you get third-partied by somebody using the lightsaber, it's just very kind of random, or it's a 50-50 like I was saying before. So just be very careful on the island. Don't be afraid to kind of jump off the island and heal and come back, kind of like what I was talking about before. You don't have to eliminate them in the first fight you get in versus them if you think you're the better player. And I would still recommend going for the island, because the pulse rifle is very good against the lightsaber users. Like I was talking about before, you kind of want to be kiting back while you're fighting them and just kind of constantly backing up and getting out of melee range. And unlike the SMGs, the pulse rifle doesn't really see that much of a range like downside. You know, you can be 15 meters from somebody and just consistently spraying them with this weapon, or like 8 to 10 meters away from somebody with the pulse rifle and still just be hip firing them just fine, and you're still going to be landing a lot of your shots while also constantly remaining outside of lightsaber range. And I've also found, for whatever reason, that it does a really good job at just like frying that like force block ability it has. And then when you do break the block, you just start like beaming them with the pulse rifle. Does a lot of damage, or you can even aim down sights with it and get that added damage while they're in kind of the stun effect. So there's kind of, you know, the best things I can give you for fighting against lightsaber. Try to win the fight before it becomes a close range fight. Make sure you have good close range weapons, whether that be the mythics or the exotics. Try not to get in as many 50-50s. Don't be super still. You want to use your like mobility as much as possible. Even if you don't have mobility items, just strafing around can be helpful. But if you do have mobility, try your best to just restart the fight, because a lot of the lightsaber users typically aren't the best like mid-range fighting players. But these mythics are very, very powerful in close range. Like, no matter what you do, there's probably going to be times when you lose to them during the Star Wars event, because it's like 3 weeks long or something like that. So there's going to be times when you lose to it. It is what it is. That's just kind of the nature of Fortnite sometimes. But if you guys did find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe to like some more, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.